Good evening, it's Price Monkey here. So it is the 31st. Tomorrow will be the 1st of February, start of a new month. Let's have a look through the pairs. Before we start, I just need to say, as usual, my views are not to be taken as trading calls or advice, and are for educational purposes only. Okay. Right. So I'm looking at the Australian dollar and US dollar to start with. We closed the month barely with a bearish engulf. Okay, we're actually on support, so even though it's a bearish engulf, I wouldn't worry about the bears coming to play too much at the moment. Let's have a look at the weekly, and we'll zoom in a bit. Okay, so the last 2 weeks of last month we saw a move up into these areas of possible selling. Let's go to daily. So we saw some profit taking on the Friday. What I would think now is that we're possibly going to get a move down to this 0.736 level, then a move back up into these this intersection with the trend line and this resistance level here, 0.7169. So if we go back to the monthly, we're going to go back into these areas, maybe perhaps even into this orange box area. Probably not that high, but perhaps we could make it that high, and then we'll see another move down. Let's zoom out a little, and then what will happen is we will basically decide whether we're going to carry on moving down or whether we're going to conform to the support and perhaps head up to 0.76 areas. Okay, so if we are to go back to the daily chart, so like I say, I think we will see moves up into these areas, 0.71 at least. Okay, so what I'll be looking for on Monday is a move back down to this support level at 0.7034. Okay, let's have a look at the hourly. So we're basically looking for moves off this congestion area between 0.7032 and 0.7045. Okay, that's what I'll be looking for tomorrow. Moves around there to go long up into these 0.7166 areas. So even though we closed bearish on the monthly, it's not to say we can't go long on the 4 hour or the 1 hour. Okay, once we do get back up into these areas, like I say, we will be looking for shorts, but we will only be looking short for shorts in the short term, as we are on the monthly support level. Okay, so let's move on to the pound yen. So the pound yen, the thing with the yen pairs at the moment is because of the recent news, traders are going to be wondering whether, you know, is the yen still going to be acting as the safe haven it once was with the negative interest rates coming into play. So it'll be interesting to see throughout Feb how that affects the yen. But me being a technical trader, I will just go with the technicals as they arise, and I'm not going to change my strategy based on what's come out in the news recently. I'll still look for technical setups on the yen, and if they prove to be unfruitful, then we will stay away from the yen until it settles itself. Okay, but let's have a look at the monthly anyway on the pound yen. So we had this kind of pinish bar close on on the monthly chart. Move down to the weekly. So we're kind of reacting for a weak demand level on the weekly. Last 2 weeks we moved up with fairly healthy bars. Daily chart, we're still heading up in my eyes. The next area of resistance is 175.44. Let's have a look at the 4-hour chart. So on the 4-hour chart, if we can make a move down, back down to these 170.64 to 169.91, or to make life easy, 170 areas, I'd like to perhaps get into position short longs to get up to this 175.38 area. Of course, what I'd like to do is go down to the lower time frames as we approach, and if we approach this area, to get on the long side, and we'll see how price action acts. If it doesn't get down to these 170.64 to 170 areas, it's quite possible that we will form new demand in the meantime to move up to the upside. If that happens, then we will have to go for the plan B, and the plan B will be, well, the plan B hasn't been planned out yet, but we'll wait for the demand coming into the market if that is the case, and we will wait for price action and take positions if that rises. So that's the plan B. Okay. So next pair, we have the New Zealand dollar versus the Japanese yen. So let me just take this off. Let's go to monthly. So on the monthly chart, we can see we had a bearish close, but it was halfway up the candle. Let's zoom out a little bit. So we're kind of, for me, that candle's kind of indecisive, but we did break these lows, and we have done for the last six months. But at the moment, to me, it looks like this market wants to head up. So let's have a look at the weekly. So the weekly, you can see again, we've had 2 bullish weeks throughout January, at the end of January. Okay. Daily, we're actually reacting now to resistance on the daily chart. So looking at this, even though we had a bullish end to the week, it could mean a retracement back down to these 77.76 levels. Let's have a look at the 4-hour. Okay, so on the 4-hour, you can see that we've got a supply level. It's not the strongest of supply levels, but the price action coming off on the other end seems fairly clean. Not the cleanest, but it still warrants to keep our eyes on, in my opinion. Let's have a look at the 1-hour chart. So the 1-hour chart, you can see we've made lows, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, lower low. So we've broken this low. So the chances are that we might see a move back into this area, 78.61 up to the 79 area, and a move back down to these 77.79 levels. Okay. So if you were to get short, for me personally, I'd like to take positions at around the 78.66 levels to be able to get that 2-to-1 reward to risk. Otherwise it probably wouldn't be worth taking for me. I wouldn't want to risk just 1-to-1 on this. I'd want to get 2 reward to 1 risk out of it. So I'll be waiting for price action in this orange area tomorrow. It might be during the Asian session in case in which case I might miss the move, but not to worry, there'll be other moves. Okay, next one is oil, crude oil. So as you can see, let's move to monthly. So on the monthly chart, we've made a bearish bar, but we've closed halfway up the bar. On the weekly, you can see that we've had 2 bullish weeks to end the month with, hence the close in the middle of the candle on the monthly. The daily chart, so we're now at resistance levels. We've broken the downwards trend line. However, this trend line is still in place. It's not the cleanest of trend lines. Let's 1 second. So this could be the overshoot. We could see a reaction at $35.5 a barrel. Well, we have seen a reaction. In fact, we saw that on Thursday and Friday. What I would envisage now is we might see sellers coming in back into the market for a continuation down. If not, we will move up to the $39 a barrel area. Let's have a look at the 4-hour chart. So from the 4-hour chart, you can see on Friday that sellers came into the market, took profit. So the sellers that were taking profit were originally the buyers, okay, on this retracement. Then we saw some sellers try and jump on board onto this resistance level. Then we saw buyers take out this level, take out those sellers, which was the bearish engulf bar here, okay. And then any stops that would have been below this 4-hour bar were then taken out by the next bar. So there's been quite a big trap in place on both sides for the bulls and the bears. So a lot of liquidity, a lot of orders would have got sucked into the market there. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out for the first half of the week. But right now I can't say what my bias would be on this right now. So I just want to wait and see what happens around this $35.5 a barrel area. There's nothing for me yet to say whether it looks more likely whether we will go up or down at this point. But in the long term, I do still see price going down. Okay. Right, so now on to gold. So looking at the monthly chart, we're now well into this area, potentially where we could see some sellers coming back in. We have bounced up off this support level, so it could be the case over the coming weeks that we will see kind of a zigzaggy battle between this support and this supply area here. We are still in the downtrend, so to me that says sellers are more likely to prevail than buyers. Let's have a look at the weekly. So the weekly, we're actually in resistance at the moment. Let's go to daily, and we'll zoom out a little bit and we'll get some more resistance levels in. These are just rough areas of interest. Price never actually reacts to these exact areas, but they're just kind of yardsticks. Okay, so looking at how the week ended last week, go back to weekly. So it was fairly bullish and to the week. Let's draw a trend line, and I did actually have this all mapped out. For some reason it disappeared. Anyway, it's good to do this on the fly. So you can see that we are kind of on support at the moment on the daily chart. Let's go to 4 hour. At the same time, we're at the top of this shorter term channel. Let's draw a trend line in here. So I still looking at the monthly, looking at the weekly, looking at the daily. I still think that price could get up into these 1140 areas, but in the meantime, I think we could see a move to the downside. Perhaps we'll slowly make our way down to this upper end of the channel and react around these 1100 areas to 1093 areas. That would be the safer place to go long if we are to go long. If we want to sell, that for me there isn't anything too clean at the moment. The way Friday finished, it was kind of messy, which kind of invalidates any setups for me to the downside. So I want to see price. I think this level will get this kind of support, and this trend line will get broken, and we'll see price to come to the downside. But at the moment, I don't see anything clean for me to risk going short and having a solid place to put my stop behind. But if we do get price coming down to these areas, I will be looking for longs, depending on how price travels to that area. Okay, so that's it for now. What I will do tomorrow, I'm not seeing too much at the moment on the radar, but what I'll do as the day progresses and price unfolds, I will tweet any setups, and obviously any setups I do take, I will be taking them live and tweeting them as I do, as always. Like I say, it's the start of the month as well, so that like the start of any week, you have to kind of wait for the momentum and the flow. With the start of the month, it's even more important because it's, we're starting a bigger cycle, so I will be more vigilant of that. But I will just be mainly looking for 1 hour, 30-minute setups to get in direction of the 4 hour to daily time frame. So the monthly chart shouldn't affect that too much. Okay, so as always, views, advice not to be taken as trading calls or advice. Okay, for educational purposes only, and let's see how this month goes, and I will see you all tomorrow. Okay, thanks.